Hi, Ed Diaz here. In today's video, we're going to demonstrate how to install the 3.0 OS update for the Roland Phantom. All right, let's get started. So before we do anything on the Phantom, I always highly suggest go ahead and do a backup of your Phantom's current state. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I would go ahead and press Menu. I would go to Utility, and then making sure that I already have a USB thumb drive that's already been formatted inside the Phantom, I would create a backup. What that is going to do is save all of my user tones and user scenes, sequences, samples, everything like that to a USB thumb drive. So that way, if I accidentally wipe my Phantom or a factory reset it unintentionally, I would have all of that in a backup. Then if I needed to restore, I would actually use that same thumb drive, plug into the Phantom, and press restore. Okay, now that we know that, let's continue. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Roland.com, in Roland.com right here, and then I'm going to go to Products, there we go, and Synthesizers. Once we're in Synthesizers, I'm going to scroll down into the Performance Workstation, and I'm going to choose one of the three Phantoms. It really doesn't matter. These all use the same update, so I'll go ahead and just choose the Phantom 7. Now that I am inside this web page, I am going to go ahead and cursor all the way to the bottom. I'll go ahead and scroll all the way to the bottom right here, and I'm going to go to Downloads. Now that I am in Downloads, I will go to the System Program version 3.0. Now, one of the things it asks you to do is to check your version of the Phantom, and let me go ahead and zoom in for you. It's very easy to do. Let's do it together. So, to check what version of Phantom OS you're using, you press Menu. We would go to System, and then we would go ahead and spin the dial, the little knob here, all the way to the bottom, and it lets me know. Currently, my Phantom is on 2.5, so I need to update. This is just good to know, just to see where you are. Now, this is also a good spot to mention if you're on an earlier update, such as 1.4 or 2.0, it doesn't matter. You can install the 3.0. You do not need the previous OS updates. All of the previous OS updates for the Phantom are inside whatever the current update is. So 3.0. So once again, if you have 1.4 or 2.0, you do not need to go ahead and find those old updates. The older updates are already a part of 3.0, so you can just update and you're good. So now that we know what my Phantom is set at, 2.5, I'm going to go ahead and continue with getting ready to install 3.0. Now, if you're curious what's actually in this update, you can look on the same page and it'll give you an update history. Right here, I have it on the screen. You can see for version 3.0, which is released on January 2022, now you have the opportunity to download and install a new engine, EXM007, which is the new enzyme model expansion engine. You can find that at Roland Cloud if you wanted to go ahead and check that out. We're going to have a lot of audio examples for you as well, and I will put those in the description if you wanted to check it out further. Also, 3 types of effects have been added to the MFX, so the more effects, that's better. Functional improvements. Now, this is a good one. A pattern can now have up to 64 measures. That's great. And then also another improvement to the sequencer, the beat can now be set in combination. What that means is we now have more time signatures available to us. We'll take a look at that in a subsequent video. Okay, so now let's go ahead and scroll down to the update right here. Here it is. All I have to do now is agree and then just hit the download file right there. All right, so now that the download is inside my computer, I have it in my download folder here. It's going to be a zip, so I'm going to go ahead and double click on the zip, open it up, and if we look inside this folder here, and let me go ahead and double click so we can just, there we go. There's going to be 3 files available. You'll need to go ahead and copy and paste those 3 files, all 3 of them, inside your Phantom thumb drive. So let me go ahead and open up my Phantom thumb drive for you now. All right, so there's my Phantom thumb drive. Let me move these so you guys can see a little bit better. And so on my Phantom thumb drive, I have, there it is at the root directory. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste or drag and drop all 3 of these files. The data, the phantom.bin, and the update. If you do not drag all of these files, or you forget one or two and only drag the update will not work. So just keep that in mind. You need all three of these files that were inside the update zip. So I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop to the root menu of my Phantom thumb drive, and give it a second, and it's bringing all of that over, as you can see. Now that those files have been copied into my Phantom thumb drive, I'm going to go ahead and eject it from my computer and then bring it over to the Phantom so we can continue with the install. Alright, so now that I have my thumb drive, I'm going to go ahead and plug it into the Phantom so we can continue with this install. So now to install it into the Phantom, I'm going to make sure the Phantom is turned off. Okay, so thumb drive is in here, the Phantom is turned off. Let's go ahead and turn on the Phantom, but let's press and hold the right button. All right, so I'm going to do that now. Press and hold the right button and turn on the Phantom. Okay, here it comes. And now, since the Phantom says preparing for update, you can release the right button. Now this might take a couple of minutes. The Phantom is doing what it needs to do to fully install that update. And you can see here it said update install, and it's going through the paces, installing the new OS into my Phantom. So it will no longer be on 2.5, it will be on 3.0 with those added features. Now you see here it's at 92%, so just wait. Running update. Alright, now that the Phantom screen says update board 1 end, now we're going to go ahead and take the thumb drive out of the USB memory port, and we're going to put it into the external device port, any of those one of three. So I'm going to do that now. Once I plug it in, it should continue with the rest of the update. Now keep in mind, while the update is installing in your Phantom, it might take a couple of minutes, so whatever you do, do not interrupt the power, do not turn off the Phantom. Just take your time and be patient, and it will be done shortly. Alright, so now that the Phantom displays on the screen update board 2 end, now we can go ahead and power off our Phantom and take the thumb drive out. Alright, so now that it's been installed, let's go ahead and power on the Phantom. Okay, so now that our Phantom is on, let's go ahead and check the version and make sure that everything was installed correctly. So I'm going to go to Menu, System, and then I'm going to spin the knob all the way to the bottom to Info, and right here I can easily see version 3.0. So everything was installed correctly. Let's check one more thing just to make sure. I'm going to go ahead and just hit the pattern, and I'm going to press record. Now let's check the time signature and see what choices we have available now. So there's my time signature. I'm going to press the enter button, and now I should be able to adjust the beats and the note value. So I can adjust the beats all the way very quickly. Here we go. Yes. And then, yeah, got a lot of choices here. You can do a lot of things, up to 32 different beats. And then the note value, of course, can be for half note, quarter notes. We see we have eighth note, 16th. So we get some good values here. So I think the common one I've heard people ask for is a 2/4 or maybe a 6/8. There's 5/4 for my people that like to do that. So we can do all these odd time signatures now. So this is great. Or a 12/8 fill if you wanted to do that one. And then all we would do is set it. So that is good. The other thing I want to check, let me go back, do this again, sorry. I want to check the length. So now the length for each of the patterns in here, I can go ahead, instead of it being 32, I can go ahead and spin the knob and it can go all the way up to 64 measures per pattern. So there's a lot of good things going on here. So the biggest ones in the sequencer, which I think all of you are going to really enjoy, is the ability to have different time signatures, and then also we can go ahead and have the pattern lengths up to 64. All right, give this a shot. I hope it helps you out. You guys take care. We'll talk to you later.